Hey guys, before we dive into the show, I wanted to tell you about the perfect trailer cue blueprint, which is 100% free, and you can download it right now over at thetrailermusicschool.com/blueprint. Now, this blueprint will help you to completely understand the structure of trailer music, how to build tracks that will be more licensable and have more impact and capture the right people's attention. So, whenever you start writing a cue, make sure you've got this blueprint to hand and you can use it to help speed up your process, feel more confident that you've crafted a well-structured trailer cue before you send it off to that publisher or editor or supervisor. Okay, let's get into the episode. Hey guys, you've heard it from me so many times about how awesome the Protégé course is, so I thought it was probably best for you to hear from some of our students.
I went into the Protégé course with a pretty unhealthy amount of insecurity about the music I was writing at the time, struggling to structure tracks, to finish them on a regular basis.
We're going to have a bunch of people basically working in the industry, get briefs every week, and then we publish them. I was like, what? That sounds like insane. I've never heard of any other people doing that sort of thing, like actually like mentoring people on like the level of like, no, we're doing it for an entire year. Yeah, that's why I think the Protégé thing is just amazing, because it's targeted. It's okay, we want this type of music for this type of application. Let's do it. And then, okay, here's where you fell short, here's where you succeeded, and it's just amazing.
I feel like I've learned so much and improved so much in my production skills. I've gotten better at percussion and better at my capacity to write tracks quicker has improved, and I've gotten better at properly responding to feedback, and I feel like now there is more of a future for me in the library world than there was before I started.
It's definitely a course that I would recommend doing. There are so many courses out there, but this one really hammers home on how to write to brief, how to write quickly, and how to write expertly as well. Honestly, the videos are very user-friendly, they're very engaging, and you get to have breakdowns of some of Richard's most successful tracks, or Elephant Music's most successful tracks, which has been really useful as well. So I thoroughly recommend to dive right in.
Protégé was one of the best investments that I ever made in my career. It did level up my game, and not just in skill, but also in my confidence. It just made me a more professional composer and a better composer.
But the course did exactly what it intended to do, in that it kind of demystified the whole composition process, taught me a bunch of good habits. And I suppose most importantly, and what I'm the most grateful for, is the fact that it actually helped me to really enjoy writing music again.
There you have it, guys. We are opening our doors for applications for the 21-22 masterclass year with Protégé.school. Go to protégé.tiny.us/apply. That's protégé.tiny.us/apply to start your application.
Three men with 3 microphones and 1 awesome podcast. Welcome to the Trailer Music Composers Podcast.
So I used to have orchestration lessons when I was at university. These were outside of my university course, because my university course was bonkers. So and one of the orchestration lessons we had was dealing with low drums. This was in like an orchestral setting. So I'd written a part for an orchestral bass drum, and he was like, imagine how that's going to sound on this sort of 8-foot skin, how big the skin is, you know. The skin will be flapping about so much that even then the playing of that part will be so difficult, because you know the movement of the skin will move the skin that much closer to the stick. So the stick, you know, so there are technical difficulties with playing but lower bass instruments at speed as well. So yeah, that's just a tiny little tidbit there. Nothing
No, yeah,
compared
that's
to
great.
nothing compared to your wonderful mixing masterclass just there, Cody. Thank you.
No problem. Ah, shit.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, no, yeah, I think that's fantastic advice. If you're going to write fast, give it to the higher instruments, really, or at least leave it out of the bass.
Right. And then from there, you can then start thinking about the mixing part of it. But, you can't really, one of my favorite quotes from one of my college professors, I know he's not the only one that says this, but you can't polish a turd, right? So the writing and just like with the orchestra, the orchestration, you got to get it right. You got to get the writing right. And then when you go in and you try to improve it with mixing, you can just enhance it and make it better. So getting the drums right really comes down to using good samples, using the right samples, and organizing and arranging them in a way that works well to get that sound, like what Ciaran was talking about, where you want that nice, punchy, strong sound that just works really well with trailers. And then what you can do is then turn to your compressors and your EQs to enhance it and make it work even better with that mix. And it may not be just a matter of, again, EQing and compressing the drums, but maybe you need to do things to the other parts to make the drums really shine and come through. But really experimenting with different ways to process these instruments to make them have that right sound. And gain staging too is a big, big part of it. If you're fighting the red the entire time, you're not doing yourselves any favors. I like to keep things as low as I can. Make sure as you add processing to the instruments, dip the input volume down to compensate for, or play around with the input and output volumes. So you're not like adding extra gain that really shouldn't be there. You're processing the sound, not just adding volume, because then you're just going to be hitting yourself into a ceiling before you know it. So just try to be smart about it. Learn about gain staging, learn about processing, learn about EQing, compression, and stuff like that. If you want to dabble in side chaining and stuff, you can, but not really so great for this kind of work when you have to stem everything. But so I guess that's kind of everything I wanted to add to that. I don't know if Ciaran's got anything he wants to share.
Chuck him a bone, Cody. Come on, go.
I'm just I'm trying to just take everything in. I'm just like, yes, this is like legendary stuff. To add to that, I suppose the mistake I still make, and it is to do with the drums, is thinking that when my track doesn't feel punchy enough, by adding another drum into it, it'll become more punchy. It just seems you're fighting, especially earlier on when I started out, you're fighting a losing battle with, constantly trying to get that. It's just that, get rid of that mud, get rid of that, to get that punch. To be honest, the less you have, the more punchy your track will be. Some of my tracks where, is in, you've had, maybe I might have 3 or 4 drums. That is it for the whole thing. They sound huge. There's huge punch to them. There's good high end, there's good low end. And it kind of, it's all about, again, like Cody was saying, managing all your instruments and not trying to kind of just force everything into it with a big wall of sound. But it's easier said than done. I'm not too sure if you guys have been in that where you're like, no, it doesn't sound big enough or it doesn't sound good enough. Maybe if I add something else in, and instead of just stripping it all back and really looking at your frequencies and okay, like, do I have way too much low end in there that's just clogging up the mix? Whereas if you start taking that out and really focus on, okay, how punchy is my kick drum? And do I have that really, tippy tappy high end just to add something to that kick? Am I getting the best out of it then? That's something also to look at. So, that'll be my 2 cents into Cody's masterclass.
Oh no, absolutely. Absolutely. You bring up an interesting point. Like, whenever you think you need more punch or more whatever, you just go and start adding more to it. I've talked to, I think both of you guys probably know Greg Townley.
Oh yeah. I had a great chat with Greg once.
Yeah. I've worked with him a fair amount with like my audio machine stuff, and great guy and amazing mixer. Definitely, I think one of the best in the business, and he knows his stuff. He's an amazing mixer. But like one of the first things he does actually, whenever this isn't just like with my stuff, but it's with any of the stuff he gets. When he gets stems, he goes through and he finds what he needs to delete, and he starts deleting stuff. And he says he'll go through and like take out like half of the whooshes, or take out, a bunch of this, that, or the other. And it basically what you want in the mix, you want it to be loud, right? You don't want to have all this. He says, if it's going to be there, make it loud. That's kind of his little quote. And the whole point of that is like having a bunch of stuff that just kind of sits in the background. I mean, yeah, you need to have background elements. There are going to be supporting pieces, supporting parts, but if you really look into your tracks, look into a session of yours, look at every single individual piece and start soloing different things, and then think to yourself, can you actually even really hear this? Is this doing anything to enhance what I'm hearing in the track as a whole? And I've done that myself, and I go back and I look, and it's like, wow, I can't even tell that's there. I mute it and I don't hear any different, So just get rid of it at that point. Get rid of it, mute it, delete it, minimize the amount of stuff that you are trying to push through the speaker, and you're going to have a better result in the end because you have less competing frequencies. Even if you can't hear it, I can guarantee it's probably doing something to maybe distract from the mix in some way, muddy it up in some way, clutter up those frequencies. Especially when it comes to the lows, you really only need to have like one or two like low drums, and the rest of it, focus it on more of maybe the low mids, the highs, and so on. So yeah, just something you said there kind of sparked that in my mind.
Yeah.
Have you done Greg's courses?
I have not done any
No.
Greg's courses.
His courses are fantastic. So there's, I've only done 2 of them. I don't know if he's done any more. But, one of them is he kind of mixes a sound design track, and he's talking about dealing with the stereo frequency, dealing with the pitch, tops and bottoms, dealing with the front and back, so compression and reverb, and he just explains everything so comprehensively and beautifully, where you go, that's why you do that. Like for instance, compressing things that are centered, because that's how, if it's up close, your ears will compress it. So that's how we will hear it, And for instance, when things are far away, the reverb, you can roll off the top end because the low frequencies travel further. All that type of. So that was the sound design one, and then he did an orchestral one where he mixes and masters. What was Jeff and Yoav's side project? The orchestral one. Immediate Music.
I can't think of the name.
Big orchestral thing, basically, and it was just wonderful watching someone else work on that level. Same thing, Cody. He kind of runs through everything, except obviously in the course, he's not going to be like, delete that, Jeff, take this. He's just like, look, this is, so I'm going to take this, I'm going to send it there, and it's functioning like this. And he was very, very clinical about the stuff you're talking about, which is like gain staging, being careful that when you add gain, you bring it down. So although I've done those courses, my approach is like completely different. I am basically the messy painter in the room, throwing paint everywhere. Whereas, you guys are sat there with your fine detail brushes on the tiny miniature models, this is beautiful detail. And I'm like, I've got some emulsion.
Just throw it in the room.
Yeah, well, the thing is also, I read into the Junkie XL when he talks about like everything when he's working within Logic, or it's Cubase, isn't he? He's working, all his channels are peaking. They're all red. They're all in the red. And I was like, well, if it's good enough for him, I'm okay with this. Obviously I was already doing it anyway, but yeah. So there are different approaches, but like I said, both you guys, you can actually mix and master your stuff to the appropriate standard because of your keen eye for detail. All that stuff, Cody, you were saying, that's why your mixes and masters sound so fantastic. Like often Greg and Toby don't even need to touch your stuff. Whereas
I think Cody could actually master his stuff in the end for Audio Machine. So I think they weren't.
A lot of my Audio Machine stuff has been just me from start to finish. Not all of it, but some of it has.
So that's kind of testament to why you're such a legend, really. Kind of top of the, or he's
swatting
like,
his hands now.
yeah, that's it. He's like, stop.
Let's go, continue.
No, because you're working with sort of the biggest company in that area. This kind of orchestral hybrid stuff, where the quality of the sound production is crucial. It's not just the writing that's up there; it's the production, the mixing, mastering, because they are different skills.
Absolutely.
We have to balance the two, and there is an area of overlap. Especially when you start approaching things like 4-part harmony with regard to orchestrating and harmonizing within your soprano, alto, tenor, bass. That type of thing.
I did hear from a publisher before. They kind of said, like, look, it is a 2-part job. I mean, you have to, be able to compose and stay with the trends and learn the new things that come on and discard the old stuff. But production, is the icing that is going to get you the placements. If you don't have any production skills, you will not be landing any placements, regardless of how good your composition is. So, years ago, I kind of had the decision when I was starting out, like, I have no musical theory background. I didn't study music when I was a kid or anything. So I was like, well, look, I started learning, basic music theory. And I said, well, okay, will I continue with that, or will I just keep messing around in the DAW and learn, mixing, or will I learn production skills? And I said, well, look, I'll do that one. So it seems to have, been a good decision. But obviously, yeah, it's an important part. Like, I mean, I thought when I started in the industry that as in everything would be mixed. So as in Cody said, like polishing the turd, I thought my turd would be turned into gold by the publishers. And I was told, no, that's not what happens.
Here's my golden turd, by the way.
Oh, lovely.
Hey!
It's a metaphor for my career, I think.
Golden turd. I love it.
I was just sorry for the audience listening. I was just holding up. I've got a little money pot by my screen. That was a gift from one of my friends. It's a golden emoji, a poo emoji, a golden poo emoji, basically, because she knows how much I like poo emojis. So.
Yeah, you are certainly the most mature person I've ever met.
Yeah. Go on.
But yeah, no, as in, like, it is. It's so important, and I wish there was more out there. To be honest. With regard to trailer music, for mixing and mastering, there's only a couple of things that I've found. And if you look up mixer mastering on YouTube, it's generally for pop music or rock music. So there are a couple of people who have, like Joel Dwell,
Dolly.
Joel Dolly.
Yeah. And his stuff is brilliant. And that is pretty much all I found. I think, Richard, I remember you mentioning Greg's masterclass before, but everything you learn is kind of picked up as you go, really.
Well, also, just to put this in here, guys, there are 2 mixing and mastering masterclasses within the Trailer Music School. Cough, cough. Not from me, from Toby Mason.
Oh, Toby actually has.
Yeah, Toby did. Toby did. So the first Trailer Music course, Toby did the mixing and mastering bit for me.
Oh, very cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I have to check that one out.
Yeah, thank goodness.
I think Austin has one as well. Actually, doesn't he?
There's a few.
There's a few. Yeah, there's a few guys coming actually out now. Sorry, I take that complete back. There's nothing there. There are a few good guys coming out now with courses. I didn't know Toby had one. I certainly, maybe I'll be investing in the trailer music course.
Cough, cough. Thank you. Yes, the thing that I found really interesting. So, kind of going over a couple of things. Having interviewed lots of composers, it's come to my attention that we all have the same samples.
Mm-hmm.
I have the same samples as you. I have the same samples as you, but I do not sound like you. Right? We do not sound the same when we write, which is kind of testament to having the samples is just one element to it, And then, as you've said, Cody, when you load in those samples into a separate track, the mix and master will be different because of the balance of everything in that track. So there's so many more variables on the way. like throughout the whole process, that you can't, I like I said, I could show everybody exactly how I've written a track, but that does not mean that they will produce the same thing.
Exactly.
If I sat down with you, Cody and Ciaran, and just said, look, guys, here is exactly what I did, copy it. I guarantee, firstly, it would be better, but secondly, it would be completely different, the way you would approach everything. And that's the wonderful thing about all this, isn't it? It's just like, it's so nice that we can all sit there with the exact same patch in Omnisphere. Ciaran will do his sort of trademark, bends, and Cody will make it just sparkle and sound awesome. I'll just make it sound like a monster dying slowly in the corner. In the mud. I'll just put that one in there.
In the mud. Oh, I like that one. Plenty of movies like that coming out.
Oh yeah. Well, after all this COVID stuff cleared off, then we can go back to all the thriller and horror trailers, and I'll be back in the business.
Yeah, my superhero genre was hit hard.
Yes.
Oh yeah. We were hit hard.
Yeah.
We're all crying a tiny bit right now.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, no. But yeah, actually, I just want to move on a little bit because you guys, that was awesome. I felt like I was listening to the podcast as an amateur just there. So thanks, chaps. But I want to talk about trailers. I don't do this on this podcast. I don't talk about trailers. I don't say, hey, have you checked out this most recent trailer? Because this is one of the vital parts of our job, is to understand what is happening now. Which is ironic, because I guarantee we're going to reference trailers that are at least a couple of years old. But it's so important. Like, everyone's like, how do I write like this? And I just say, just do some research, guys. Just like listen to some music. Listen to what people are doing. See if you can figure it out. It's so important. And especially when it comes to structure and build, writing trailer music is another thing to writing trailer music for a trailer. You can write a piece of trailer music that doesn't stick to the 3-act structure, that will then be chopped up, plopped into a trailer in a different way. So watching trailers is another thing that's really important. So I thought it'd be interesting if we talked about trailers.
Sure.
Yeah, no. It feels like I forced our conversation a little bit. I'm sorry.
No, you're good, man.
We were having like a free-form chat, and I'm like, okay, stop talking now.
This is the pilot. This is what's supposed to happen. It's supposed to be structured. Me and Cody would keep talking about like drums and mixing, and do you know such and such, or have you seen this for hours? So
yeah, enough of that mixing, guys. You're making me feel like I have no knowledge whatsoever. So I want to talk about trailers. Now, there are, for me, like often when I'm watching a trailer, I usually just watch it for the reference. I would just, somebody, obviously when I get a brief, they'll be like, oh, there's some references, I'll watch them. And I'll take from those trailers what I can. But there are some trailers that just stick with you. That just stand out, and you just think, wow, they really smashed that. This one, honestly, because of COVID, I have lost all understanding of time. I think this was a couple of years ago. It's probably about 3 or 4 years old. And it's one of the Star Wars trailers.
Oh.
And I'm going to try and describe it first. I can't. What was the name of the last film? I'm going to slap myself internally for not remembering this.
Rise of
Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker. Thank you. It was the trailer. I can't remember whether it was the teaser for that one or the first theatrical. It's basically almost the entirety of the trailer is a clip from the film where Rey is stood there on the kind of like what looks like the salt flats with Kylo Ren approaching in his TIE fighter, and it's just
another one
slow build, and the way the music just builds. I mean, it's just beautiful. It's just that was one of those ones where I go, wow, they broke the mold a little bit with this one. And that's not just down to the composer, that's down to the whole team who did the trailer. Let me see if I can share my screen, guys, because this is about to get exciting. Share my screen, Google Chrome, share sound, share. Yes.
Sure. I feel like I'm back at the cinema.
Yeah.
That was but that's for me, that's when the trailer does it, when it's like, wow, this has really brought me to the cinema. And I just think that was such a fantastic trailer. Just everything about it. And I love the fact that obviously it's a teaser, so the structure is different. But I love the fact that we have this sort of beautiful, almost orchestral suite at the start that ends beautifully. And then we have this lovely kind of like second section to it, which is basically a riser into the theme restart. I don't know. It's probably John Hanson at Confidential, wasn't it? I know, but I just think.
I think it was Jean-Gabriel Reynaud. I think did that one.
I think you're right, Ciaran.
Cavalry, I think did it.
That one was.
But I think there was something.
I don't know if Cavalry. I know Cavalry did like one of the Last Jedi trailers. I don't know if they did. Did they do Rise of Skywalker too? I can't.
I thought that's who did it, but hang on.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I'm looking it up.
Yeah, hang on, I'll have a look.
We're all going to get our phones out and search through Facebook for who posted they got it.
Funnily enough, I do remember in the back in the days when I actually went onto Facebook, I remember when someone posted that on the group saying, "Who was this?" Yeah,
I love that when it's I love the group.
Who is this? Yeah. What have I found? Have I found anything interesting? I'm on YouTube, so probably not.
Yeah, they did it. Yeah. Teaser for Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, it's Cavalry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cavalry. Okay, there we go. That for me was the business. Like, although I very rarely touch that genre, and if I do, it's definitely not in that grand a way. I just thought that was just such a fantastic, not just a structured trailer, but just also the fact that it basically felt like the first minute was an intro. Awesome.
I think all the three of the new trilogy, I think every trailer were up in my top favorite trailers. And I'm obviously a massive Star Wars fan. But I think the way they were cut, the way the music was done, it was just taking the John Williams themes and just stretching them a little bit more into the modern world and maybe making them slightly darker in places. Or I just thought they were fantastic.
Yeah. Also, the first theatrical for A Force Awakens.
I was just about to say the same thing. Yeah.
Which was confidential, as far as I'm aware.
I think that was your scene.
Pusher. It was best. It was
It was Freddie. Yeah.
I'm gonna get one of them right. I'm sure John did one of them.
John probably did. Yeah. I mean, he has to. He works on. He definitely. John did the first trailer for this season 2 of Mandalorian, which was amazing. That was the one that started with the throat singing drone. I see Richard nodding his head. Richard probably came up with the throat singing idea. Well, I remember that ages ago. He said to me, "Do you know what'd be great? Throat singers." And Vic was like, "That'd be great! Oh my god, let's get this done."
That was actually Vic who suggested throat singing. He was like,
Vic?
Yeah,
I apologize, Vic.
Yeah, Vic was one he's been suggesting throat singing for about 5 years. And I was like, all right, go on then. We do the album, and then John does that trailer, and we're like, no.
Yeah, because it worked really well.
Oh, mate, so well.
But yeah, as far as I remember, Pusher did with Ursine Volpine did the first trailer for Force Awakens, the first trailer for
Ursine Volpine. Okay, right, yeah.
Yeah, Freddie. I can't think of Freddie's next second. I chat to Freddie every now and then. He's a lovely, lovely guy.
Frederick Lloyd, right?
Frederick Lloyd. Yeah. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
But yes, he did trailer 1 for Force Awakens. So I don't know if it was a teaser or it was trailer 1, and then trailer 1 for The Last Jedi, and then I think he did trailer 2, I think, for The Rise of Skywalker. So he had a trilogy of trailers, which that is crazy to be able to land 3 customs in 3 different movies. Unbelievable.
For probably the biggest trilogy in the past 10 years,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
One of them at least.